Ugh, raining again. Time to Google somewhere sunny. Oh, South Africa it is. Wait, what the... is that? There's a country inside South Africa? Like, completely inside? Just chilling there? Like a bean in a burrito? No, seriously. This isn't some weird Google glitch. That's Lesotho, a real independent country. 2 million people, entirely surrounded. It's like South Africa's appendix, but it didn't get removed. Turns out, the world's full of these oddballs. Some are full-fledged countries. Some are just a few streets wide. And some are borderline ridiculous, literally. Why follow normal borders when you can break Google Maps instead? Imagine being so stubborn, you build a kingdom inside another kingdom, and then you survive colonialism. That's Lesotho. Respect. Completely surrounded by South Africa, Lesotho is kind of like the roommate that refuses to move out, but they pay rent, they have their own electricity, and they actually run their own country. Fair enough. But Lesotho isn't just a border oddity. It's got altitude. This is the only country in the world where every inch of land is more than 1,400 meters above sea level. Even the lowest point here is higher than the entire Netherlands. That's not a country. That's a high-rise nation. Home to over 2 million people, Lesotho is officially a kingdom, with a king, traditional culture and street wine, and seriously dramatic landscapes. You'll find snowy mountains, winding rivers, and some of the most isolated villages on the continent. In short, Lesotho looked at South Africa and said, "Nah, I'm good." Then climbed a mountain and never came down. But Lesotho's not the only place that pulled this off. Hop on a flight, or if you're using Google Maps like me, just zoom across the globe, and we land in Europe, where Italy, the land of pizza and passionate hand gestures, somehow managed to have 2 tiny countries living rent-free inside it. Welcome to San Marino, a country so small, if you blink while scrolling, you might miss it and end up in Italy again. This little mountaintop republic is only about 61 square kilometers. That's smaller than Disney World, and yet, it's a full-blown country, with borders, a government, and more cars than people. Seriously, about 33,000 residents, and over 38,000 vehicles. So if you're stuck in traffic here, you're literally surrounded by the entire population. But don't let the size fool you. San Marino is ancient. Like, we've been a republic since 301 AD, ancient. That makes it the oldest existing republic in the world, founded by a stonemason who just wanted to live in peace and ended up creating a country. They've survived empires, wars, even Napoleon, and they did it all while clinging to the side of a mountain. I told you already, Italy's got 2 whole countries in its pocket. Besides San Marino, there's another one, and technically, it's also a church. Now we arrive at the smallest country on Earth, Vatican City, a place so tiny, you could walk across it in under 20 minutes. Unless you get distracted by, Michelangelo. Completely surrounded by Rome, this mini-state is technically its own country. It has a flag, a national anthem, and even its own license plates. Though let's be honest, the Pope isn't exactly out here street racing. The entire population is about 800 people, and the majority are clergy, guards, or nuns. So, yeah, you could say the vibes are very quiet. It also has its own post office, its own army, the very stylish Swiss Guard, and even its own bank, which, by the way, only deals in euros, not indulgences anymore. But here's where it gets funny. Vatican City may be small, but it makes perfect sense on the map. Now let's head to a place that doesn't. Because somewhere in the north, there's a little piece of Italy that's not in Italy. They use Swiss francs, drive on Swiss roads, and have Swiss police. But legally, it's still Italy. Mamma mia, even the taxes are confused. This is Campione d'Italia. Tucked away on the edge of Lake Lugano, this tiny Italian town is completely surrounded by Switzerland. And just to make things more interesting, they act more Swiss than Italian. They use Swiss francs. They drive on Swiss roads. Their emergency services? Swiss. Even their trash is picked up by the Swiss. But the post office? Italian. The taxes? Also Italian. Somewhere in the distance, a confused accountant cries. Campione even used to be part of the Swiss customs zone, which meant shopping like a Swiss, but voting like an Italian. That changed in 2020 when Italy said, all right, come back into our tax system. Let's just say, nobody threw a party. But hey, if you think that's confusing, try going to Spain and stumbling across a town that legally belongs to France. This little dot is Llivia, a Spanish town entirely surrounded by France. It's not a mistake. It's a legal loophole from the 1600s. Back in 1659, France and Spain signed the Treaty of the Pyrenees. Spain agreed to give up several villages. But someone, somewhere, labeled Llivia as a town, not a village. And just like that, paperwork saved the day. Spain kept Llivia. The pen truly is mightier than the sword, or at least smarter than the border map. Today, the people speak Spanish, pay Spanish taxes, but need to drive through France to get anywhere else in Spain. Let's hope nobody forgets their ID. But hey, if that's complicated, wait till we head east, far east, where a piece of one country got totally separated from the rest, and now shares borders with 3 countries it doesn't even fully get along with. That's the story of Nakhchivan, a slice of Azerbaijan that's completely separated from the rest of the country. There's no direct land connection. Armenia's in the way, and they're not exactly on friendly terms. So instead, Nakhchivan cozied up to Turkey and Iran. The result? Culturally, they feel a bit more Turkish. Lots of kebab, lots of tea, and even more Turkish soap operas. They're that family member who lives far away, but always pops into the group chat with a meme, a hot take, or a strong opinion on dinner plans. Still officially part of Azerbaijan, but emotionally, they've got a foot in 2 worlds. And speaking of confusing, what if I told you there's a village, inside another country? Get ready. Because this next one, it's borders inside more borders. Imagine a piece of country A inside country B, but inside that is a piece of country A again. Yeah, it's like a nesting doll, but with flags. Meet Nahwa. It's part of the United Arab Emirates. But to get there, you have to go through Mada, which belongs to Oman, which is surrounded by the UAE. So, UAE, then Oman, then back to UAE. All in just a few kilometers. GPS says, good luck, buddy. Honestly, it feels less like a border and more like a prank on geography students. But if you think that's confusing, imagine a place where 2 countries share a town, and houses, shops, even front doors switch nationalities depending on which room you're in. All right, you've made it this far. Your brain survived enclaves, exclaves, and border loop-de-loops. But now, we bring you the final boss. Welcome to Baarle, where Belgium and the Netherlands decided that borders are more of a suggestion. You can eat breakfast in Belgium, walk across the room, and pee in the Netherlands. Some houses here literally switch nationalities, depending on which side of the living room you're standing in. You could celebrate 2 national holidays without ever leaving your couch. Cafes, bakeries. Even front doors are claimed by whichever country the door touches. And guess what? That rule determines which laws apply inside. The border here is so tangled that even locals have to double check if they're in Belgium or the Netherlands before calling the plumber. But hey, it works. Somehow. Like a peaceful little mess that both countries agreed to just roll with. So what do all these places have in common? Tiny borders, big stories. They remind us that geography isn't always logical. Sometimes it's historical, political, or just hilariously confusing. But that's what makes maps so fun. You never know when a border might run through your sofa. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and let us know. What's the weirdest border you've ever seen? And hey, maybe double check what country your toilet's in.